It was 3 a.m. The house was silent except for the tapping of my keyboard. My eyes burned from staring at the screen for so long. The blue light felt like it was piercing my soul, but I couldn't look away. I scrolled through pages and pages of SpongeBob memes and forums. Each click took me deeper into a digital maze where time seemed to disappear. Nostalgia had a strong grip on me. Old photos scattered on my desk reminded me of simpler times, when life was less complicated. I craved the comforting absurdity of my childhood. The childish drawings on my wall were a constant reminder of what I was looking for. My search history was a graveyard of outdated streaming sites and torrent links. I was obsessed. Each broken link was a dead lead, but I wouldn't give up. I had to find the old SpongeBob, the really old stuff, the episodes that seemed lost to time. Then, a beacon in the digital darkness. A bright light cutting through the gloom, calling me closer. A forum post, almost invisible in the endless scroll. It was like finding a needle in a haystack. But there it was. Its title screamed at me. Lost SpongeBob episode. You won't believe this. My heart raced. This was it. The promise of something extraordinary. The internet always promised hidden treasures. Could this be the gold? That moment of discovery we all secretly crave. I hesitated for a moment and clicked. What would I find on the other side? Curiosity consumed me, and there was no turning back now. The post was simple, just a text link with no other information. No title, no description, just a string of messy characters. It smelled of danger, screamed virus. But my curiosity, like a hungry beast, wouldn't be denied. With a deep breath and a prayer to the internet gods, I clicked. The page loaded. It was a rough website, black background with a single video player. No other links, no descriptions, just the player and a single play button. This was it, the lost episode. The episode started normally. The familiar opening with bubbles, the upbeat theme song. But something was wrong. The music was slower. The colors seemed faded, almost washed out. And the title card, usually full of bright colors, was a dull gray with the words SpongeBob's Regret scrawled in a childish font. A shiver ran down my spine. This wasn't right. The episode followed SpongeBob and Patrick bored on a Tuesday. They decided to go jellyfish hunting, a seemingly harmless activity. But then it happened. Patrick, distracted, wandered into the path of a speeding boat. The animation became terrifyingly realistic for a split second as the boat slammed into Patrick, sending him flying through the air. The cheerful music stopped. Silence. Then, SpongeBob's scream, sharp and full of terror, echoed in the sudden silence. The episode took a dark turn. The lighthearted mood was gone. SpongeBob, racked with guilt, blamed himself for Patrick's accident. Patrick, miraculously alive but heavily bandaged, became withdrawn and bitter. Their once unbreakable friendship crumbled, replaced with paranoia and resentment. Their dialogue, usually full of puns and silly jokes, became dark, filled with accusations and veiled threats. The episode reached its horrifying climax in a scene that unfolded like a nightmare. Darkness seemed to swallow everything around, creating a sense of despair and palpable fear. Every corner of the room was shrouded in shadows, and the silence was broken only by distant, unsettling sounds that echoed through the air. SpongeBob, driven to the edge by guilt and fear, confronted Patrick in his dark room. The tension in the air was almost unbearable, and SpongeBob's gaze reflected a mix of regret and terror. He knew he had to face his friend, but the fear of the unknown paralyzed him. The animation became increasingly distorted, the lines shaky and frantic. The vibrant colors that usually characterized the show were replaced by dark, unsettling hues, creating a sense of disorientation and dread. It was as if the very world of SpongeBob was unraveling. As SpongeBob reached out to apologize, the camera zoomed in on Patrick's bandaged face. Patrick's expression was unreadable, hidden beneath the layers of bandages, but his eyes conveyed a deep pain and a simmering rage. His eyes snapped open, glowing a sinister red in the darkness. The intensity of Patrick's gaze was almost hypnotic, and SpongeBob felt a chill run down his spine. It was as if those red eyes were looking directly into his soul. He let out a guttural growl, a sound that seemed impossible coming from the usually dim-witted starfish. The growl reverberated through the room, heightening the sense of terror. SpongeBob realized he was facing something far darker and more dangerous than he could have ever imagined. The screen cut to black, only silence. Then, for a fleeting moment, a single frame flashed on the screen. It was a still image of SpongeBob, his eyes wide with terror, his body twisted at an unnatural angle. His skin was a sickly green, covered in what looked like bruises and bite marks. And behind him, a faint silhouette of Patrick, his eyes still glowing red, a sinister grin plastered across his bandaged face. The video ended. The screen returned to the empty, desolate website, but before I could process what I had just witnessed, the page quickly refreshed. The video player was gone. In its place, a message in the same childish font as the title card, "You shouldn't have seen that." Then the entire website vanished. I sat there, frozen in my chair, the faint glow of the laptop screen illuminating the terror in my own wide eyes. My heart pounded in my chest, a frantic drum against my ribs. What had I just watched? Was it real? A cruel joke? A virus-infected hallucination? I didn't know. All I knew was that the happy-go-lucky world of SpongeBob SquarePants, my childhood sanctuary, had been irrevocably tainted. The next morning, the sun rose, painting the world in familiar hues. The sky was awash in orange and pink, and the sea reflected this palette of colors with a serenity that seemed almost unreal. Everything seemed so normal, so different from the horror I had witnessed just hours before. The streets were empty, but there was an unsettling stillness in the air, as if the world was holding its breath. I tried to rationalize, to convince myself that it had all been a bad dream. I woke up in a cold sweat, my heart racing. Every shadow in the room seemed to hold something sinister, but the images remained seared into my brain. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw those red eyes, that twisted grin. It was as if I was trapped in an endless loop of terror. The red eyes, the twisted grin, the final horrifying frame. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was watching me, waiting for the right moment to strike. To this day, I haven't been able to shake the feeling that something sinister lurks beneath the surface of Bikini Bottom. The vastness of the ocean seemed to hold secrets that were never meant to be uncovered, and I never again searched for lost SpongeBob SquarePants episodes. The thought of revisiting that terror is unbearable. I'd rather live in ignorance than risk finding something even more disturbing.